I want to start off by saying that the whales are accumulating. And I want to ask you, what are you doing? I'm Camila Stevenson, and around here we talk wealth. And the biggest mistake that XRP holders are constantly making has nothing to do with when they bought or what price they paid. It has everything to do with what they're doing while they're waiting. Okay. Because while most people are watching the price go sideways and questioning everything, the largest wallets in this market are doing something that has never happened before in XRP's history. And the numbers that they have left behind on the blockchain tells a story that will change how you should be thinking about this moment entirely. Now, let me know in the comments during the last 6 months while this thing has been moving sideways, have you added, held, or reduced your position? I definitely want to see where you stand with this, just so I can gauge where everyone is at. Now, I do want to say like the video and subscribe if you have not already so you don't miss the next video. And I want to tell you that nothing that I say is financial advice. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research, and your convictions and your expectations, they do belong to you. Now, let's talk about two groups with the same market and completely different behavior. I want to walk you through exactly what has happened during the same period that most people in this space were watching the price go sideways and even down at times and have been questioning everything. The comments that I see are really funny when a lot of people are just so upset that we get so much good news and the price is going down. They're like, yeah, but the price is still going down and we're getting all this good news. Well, if you don't have a strong position, I don't think you want the price to just go without you, right? You want to have time to gain your position if you don't have enough, because as the price move, it's going to be much harder for you to gain the position that I know you probably really want. So here's what smart retail has been doing, because the data does not lie and it paints a very specific picture that I want you to pay attention to. XRP ETFs recorded 31 million in outflows in March alone, not inflows, outflows. Money leaving the products that were supposed to represent institutional confidence in XRP. The broader crypto sentiment surveys were flashing fear, okay? And comment sections on XRP videos this year has been running the same loop as I just said. When is it going to move? Maybe the thesis is wrong. Maybe this is taking longer than anyone expected. I didn't expect this. I'm getting tired. You know, the sad faces, the crying. I get it. I really do. I know we want to move, but I'm just expressing to you during all of this sentiment what the whales are doing, what big money is doing. And I want you to understand the fear is real. It's there. It's not irrational either. 6 straight monthly losses is genuinely difficult to sit through. The price went from above $3.60 at its peak down to a dollar, and I think it went to a dollar and what, 10 at one point. Maybe now it sits between $1.28, $1.35. At the time of this recording, it's up a little bit, but there's a range, and it's just been, grinding, right? And so that is a 64% decline from the high. People who bought near the top have been underwater for months. The psychological weight of that is real, and anyone who tells you that it's not has never actually held through a painful drawdown, okay? So the retail behavior makes complete sense when you understand the emotional context. People watched the price, got shaken, and some reduced their positions. Some sold entirely. I mean, they just got that afraid. And some stayed, but with significantly less conviction than they had 6 months ago. So that's what one group did, okay? Now, let me show you what the other group did during the exact same period. Since October 2025 flash crash, the single most frightening moment in XRP's 2025 to 2026 cycle, the event that triggered 19 billion in liquidations across crypto in under 24 hours, the moment that created the most doubt and the most exits. Well, during that moment, wallets holding between 10 million and 1 billion XRP accumulated 4.09 billion tokens. 4.09 billion XRP, systematically pulled off the market into private custody during the exact window that retail was most afraid. Those wallets now control 32% of all XRP in circulation. And I keep saying it, that most of XRP is going to wind up in the same people's hands, really. And that is not just a high number, talking about 32% of all XRP in circulation. That is the highest it has ever been, a record that has never been hit before in XRP's entire history. And that's not one time. The 30-day moving average of whale accumulation is running at over 11 million XRP per day. Every single day for the past month, the biggest wallets in the market have been adding to their position. Do you hear me? Through the geopolitical noise, through the price sitting flat, through the ETF outflows, through every piece of negative sentiment, every single day, 11 million XRP. Now, I need you to stop and think about what that actually requires. To accumulate at that pace through the kind of environment, you cannot be operating on emotion. You cannot be checking the price every day and making decisions based on what you see in the moment. The people behind those wallets made a decision, not about what the price was going to do tomorrow or next week, but about what this asset fundamentally is and where it is structurally heading. And that decision was so clear to them that 64% drawdown from the high did not change it. 6 months of sideways price action did not change it. 31 million in ETF outflows did not change it. They just kept buying and buying and buying. That contrast is the most important thing happening in this market right now. Not the price and not the headlines, the behavior of the people with the most information and the most capital telling you through their actions, not their words, their actual on-chain behavior, exactly how they are viewing this moment. So these are two groups, same market, same information available to both. One group watched the price and felt fear. One group watched the price and saw opportunity. And the difference between those two groups is not intelligence. It is not access to any type of secret information out there. It is depth of understanding about what they actually own. Because when you truly understand what you own, not at the surface level of the price chart and the headlines, but the level of infrastructure, the regulatory timeline, the institutional adoption curve, temporary price pain does not feel like evidence that something is wrong. It feels like a window. And the data shows that the people who understand this most deeply have been treating it exactly like a window. Every single day for the last 30 days, we see these large numbers. Now, here's the supply story that I want to share with you. Right now, I do think the supply story, this is the most important data point available right now. And I don't know if a lot of people are talking about it correctly. Now, we just established that the biggest wallets are accumulating at a record pace. That is the demand side of the equation. But the supply side of what is happening right now is equally significant. And when you put both of those sides together, you're going to see where this is going to lead to. Now, XRP has not been illiquid since 2021. Now, let me explain what that means when I talk about illiquidity. See, when XRP sits on centralized exchange, it is available to sell. Someone can log in tomorrow morning and hit the sell button, and that XRP enters the market as supply. It creates downward price pressure, and it is ammunition for selling. So when XRP leaves exchanges and moves into cold storage or regulated custody, it is gone from that equation. It cannot be sold quickly. It requires deliberate effort to move back. And the person holding it made a decision not to trade this, not to react to tomorrow's price movement, but to hold this for a reason that matters more than short-term price action. Now, look at what the data showed happened in February of 2026 alone. 7.03 billion XRP left centralized exchanges in a single month. That is the largest monthly outflow recorded since November of 2025. 7 billion in 1 month, moving off exchanges into private wallets and institutional custody. And that's not an isolated event. And exchange outflows have been accelerating consistently. XRP's net exchange supply has declined 16% since the October crash. So the sell side of this market is being systematically removed by the same people who are at the same time adding 11 million tokens per day to their holdings. So think about what that creates structurally. You have a fixed supply asset There will be no more XRP than what exists right now. The supply only goes in one direction, which is down, because every transaction permanently burns a small amount. That is already true before any of the accumulation data enters into this entire picture. Now, add the whale behavior on top of that information. The biggest wallets are pulling supply off the exchanges at a record pace, while at the same time accumulating at the fastest rate in 10 months. That means less available to sell, more being held by conviction buyers. And every day that pattern continues, the gap between available supply and potential demand gets wider. This is what market structure actually means, not what the price is doing today, but what the underlying supply and demand architecture looks like when the next wave of buyers arrive. And here's a specific scenario you need to understand. We do have the Clarity Act, and it is targeting, I guess, in May or something. If it passes, then XRP and other digital commodities get permanently classified as a digital commodity under federal law. And that classification is the green light that American institutional investors have been waiting for to allocate at scale. The ETF infrastructure is already built. The custody solutions are already approved. The only thing missing is the regulatory certainty that tells compliance departments, yes, you can do this, right? And let me just say that it doesn't necessarily take that with XRP. It has a little bit of a difference of a story than the rest of them because they have gone through the SEC clearance, and it is built for a crisis. And as I've stated before, the rules change when you have a crisis, okay? But with that being said, when the certainty arrives, the demand that enters into this market is going to be looking for supply to buy. And when the supply is not there the way it used to be, remember 7.03 billion tokens left exchanges in February. Whales control a record 32% of circulation. So the order books is at its thinnest since 2021. When new institutional demand enters a market with this type of supply structure, it does not take much buying to move the price significantly. That's not a speculation. That is basic supply and demand applied to an asset where the people who understand it most have been systematically removing it from the market for 6 straight months. The retail investors who were watching the price go sideways were looking at the wrong number. The number that mattered was not the price. It was how much supply was quietly leaving the market every single day while the price was going sideways. And that number was telling a story that the price chart is completely hidden to. Okay. So I want you to understand this. Everything that we covered, the well accumulation, the record ownership levels, the historic illiquidity, the supply being removed from exchanges, none of that is a price prediction. I'm not telling you where this goes or when this moves. What I'm telling you is that the structural setup of this market right now is being built by the people who understand it more than most people. And they are not building it for a trade. They're building it for something they believe is going to matter for a long time. The question is not whether you believe them. The question is whether you understand enough about what you own to stay positioned through the moments between now and when the rest of the world figures out what they already know. Because the data shows they have been buying every single one of those moments for the last 6 months, okay? And they are still buying today. Now, I want to say this. The whales piling 7 billion XRP off the exchanges are not thinking about what happens when the price moves. They are thinking about what happens when the price moves and where their assets are structured when it does. So most people right now are holding XRP in a taxable account. When this supply squeeze meets the institutional demand that the Clarity Act unlocks, the IRS is going to come looking for their money if you don't have a portion somewhere where you can experience the appreciation of that asset without having to pay taxes. So there's an asymmetry that's going to happen. The price is going to catch up to the true fundamental foundational value of this asset. And we can look at the signals and tell where the foundational value is right now. And so that is why I do hold a portion of mine in a Roth IRA through iTrust Capital with tax-free growth. I also have my silver and gold backed by physical silver and gold there. And I have quite a few assets that are sitting in that account. And I cannot wait for the explosiveness that will happen in the future. Okay. So this is one of my plans, one of my structured accounts, and I know the purpose of that particular account. Everybody gives each account a different purpose and a different why. But I think it is a very smart thing to have assets sitting somewhere where there is appreciation that you do not have to pay a dime out of that account. And so the link is in the description if you are interested in that. And there is a $100 funding bonus that is available to you if you fund the account. And I always recommend that people would fund their Roth IRA first because it is tax free. And if you understand that you want to be wealthier in the future, then you understand also that you may have a higher tax bracket. And so that is a hack for you in a sense. And I absolutely love it. Now, also, if you want more help on how to plan your specific position and your sizing, your structure, have a game plan, accountability, coaching, then that is what my community is for. And I also do have my one-on-one clarity calls if you want a more personalized game plan. So the links to my community and my one-on-one is also in the description below. And so before I check out, please like the video and subscribe and let me know in the comments, are you one who is accumulating? Are you taking advantage of this window? Because I believe that this is the opportunity of a lifetime if you will allow it to be. The price, I want you to know, is never the story. The data is. And as always, I want you to stay wise, stay wealthy, and I'll see you in the next video.